Apple has unveiled the new MacBook Air with the new M2 chip, which will be available in about a month, but I decided not to wait and show you what it will be and whether it's worth getting by comparing it with the specs of the M1 MacBook Air. The prices are different, the design is different, everything seems to be different, but not everything is as obvious as it might seem at first glance. Therefore, let's compare M1 Air and M2 Air in detail and step by step. To begin with, let's compare the design, which this year has become noticeably fresh, which is not surprising, but anyway, if earlier we loved the MacBook Air for the wedge shape, the keyboard angling down, now we have a rectangular shape with rounded edges. Did it make it more comfortable? Most likely yes, at least not worse. Again, I haven't tested this MacBook yet, but a noticeable decrease in thickness clearly made the experience of using the keyboard more comfortable than on the 13-inch MacBook Pro, for example. The total thickness of the new Air is now 11.3 millimeters, which is 20% less than the previous model, and we also get rounded corners. That is, the MacBook has become a little thinner and lighter. It now weighs 2.7 pounds instead of M1's 2.8 pounds. It comes in 4 finishes: Starlight, Midnight, Space Gray, and Silver, each with its own MagSafe charging cable matching the color of the MacBook. It's cool that the MacBook is now charging via MagSafe, leaving the other 2 ports free, but unfortunately, these are all the same Thunderbolt 3 ports to which you can connect only one monitor with a resolution up to 6K. Although, what's the problem connecting 2 monitors? A regular PC user will ask. But on the other hand, you can get Pro models to connect more than one monitor. And the new 67-watt USB-C power adapter which charges the Mac up to 50% in 30 minutes. And we get 18 hours of video playback without recharging. There's literally no difference between the M1 Air and M2 Air keyboards, which will be great news for many, because why upgrade something that already works great? The new display is the old IPS display, but now the size is not 13.3 inches, but 13.6. Previously the numbers were like this, 2560 by 1600, and now 2560 by 1664. But in terms of brightness, numbers have become more interesting. Now instead of 400 nits, we get 500 nits, which makes the image brighter, obviously. When the FaceTime HD camera came out in the M1 MacBook Air, almost all users were satisfied. 720p is quite enough for calls. Now what do we have in the M2 MacBook Air? The 1080p camera with improved low-light performance, 3 microphones, and 4 cool new speakers. The quality of the camera, of course, is far away from iPhone, but this is already a very good quality for a webcam. I would like to tell you more about external upgrades, but there's nothing really else to mention. Alright. The notch is here. On the M1 Air we don't have one, on the M2 Air we have one. Unlike the M1 processor, the M2 has 25% more GPU performance at the same power level, and 35% more at maximum power, increasing memory bandwidth to 100 GB per second, which is 50% more than the M1. These numbers sound more impressive, but that's not all. The unified memory on the M1 MacBook Air is limited to 8 or 16 GB, while 8 GB for slightly heavier tasks is not enough. The swap comes into play and begins to affect the SSD, thereby reducing its service time. Yes, it may not be very critical, but anyway, I have a separate video about this, so be sure to check it out. But the M2 now has 24 GB, which allows you to load your laptop with more complex tasks. In some cases, it really makes sense to overpay for this. But if we're talking about the majority, will you have these heavy tasks? In short, 16 GB in M2 Air will definitely be enough for 80 to 90% of users. But it's still cool that Apple added a 24 GB option here. SSD, by the way, also starts at 256 GB and goes up to 2 TB. We did some tests with the M1 MacBook Air and compared the results with the M2 numbers that Apple showed us. Of course, we need to take into account that these tests are virtual, but it's enough to build a big picture. We've used several pro apps which are best for a MacBook with Apple Silicon. And before making these these tests, I make sure my Mac is clean, and to easily keep your Mac clean, I recommend using a product called Clean My Mac X, which is developed by a company called MacBot, and they are very kindly sponsoring this video. When I first launched Clean My Mac, it found gigabytes of files I didn't need, just useless junk, so things that are left behind when you simply use the system. And all you will have to do is to click just one button and the app will do the rest of the work for you. So Clean My Mac not only increases your system's performance, but also includes malware detection and a proper app remover. Simply dragging and dropping an app to the trash bin is usually not enough to uninstall it. Sometimes developers will give you a pre-made uninstaller, but other times you are forced to delete it manually, which is not always easy to do, but Clean My Mac knows how to do it for you. So if you want to find out more about Clean My Mac X, click the link in the description and use the code WEINER10 for 10% off. So Final Cut Pro, we made several renders and also used a compressor. To stabilize a video in 4K for M1 it took 161 seconds and M2 99 seconds. Rendering 4K with compressor took M1 447 seconds, while M2 should handle no more than 277. 1080p video stabilization took M1 a huge 758 seconds, and M2 reduced the time by almost half, 469 seconds. Creating a proxy file from an 8K video took M1 as much as 71 seconds, M2 44. Remember that this is not completely accurate, but we still get about a 2:1 ratio. M2 will finish the work of M1 almost twice as fast, which is absolutely cool. Yes, it seems to save a little bit of time, but if you often render stuff out, in the end you will have a lot of time saved. The next test is file archiving. In theory, due to the increase in processing power and bandwidth, we have approximately the following results with the Kaka app, which is very well optimized for Apple Silicon. For M1, the archiving time took almost 340 seconds, while M2 will make it in about 260 seconds. In Geekbench 5, the difference between M1 and M2 looks frankly microscopic, but in real life, most likely, the difference will be a little more noticeable. Now, the M1 MacBook Air starts from $1,000. We get different configurations that we talked about in this video, and literally every average user can pick up the M1 Air that fits their workflow. The brand new M2 will be available in July 2022. Its price starts from $1199. There is a difference, and a noticeable one, but mainly in the price. If you haven't had a MacBook Air on the M1 up to this point and you have enough money, then I recommend going with the M2. It will be much better for you in perspective than getting the M1. But all these small numbers from the tests, when you put them together, the difference is definitely there, but it's not for the M1 users. Having all the upgrades, I would have changed the name from M2 to M1.2. For an experienced MacBook Air user, the new Air on the M2 will be, well, consider it better take the 14-inch M1 Pro model if you want to upgrade. This way you will at least get a mini LED display with ProMotion, not to mention a noticeable difference in performance. And the new 13-inch M2 MacBook Pro, well, it's a topic for another video, so subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it. Also smash the like button if this video was helpful to you, and see you in the next one.